Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for one of my favourite races of the year, and that is the 2023 Canadian Grand Prix. I absolutely love this track and this race, as I'm sure I tell you every single year, and so I obviously cannot wait for this one. This is, more often than not, a track that lends itself to good racing, and it's rare we see a properly dull event. Although, as those words leave my mouth, I think I said similar in the preview to the 2018 race, and it was hardly a cracker. So I'm just going to shut my mouth now before I jinx it and get on with the preview, starting as always with a look at the circuit. So, last time out, F1 was in Barcelona for, in my opinion at least, a pretty solid Spanish Grand Prix where Max Verstappen took yet another step towards a third world title. Yes, I know there's a long way to go yet, but he's looking good, isn't he? But now it is on to Montreal in Canada for the 8th race of the season. It has been a bit of a stop-start few weeks, hasn't it, with the 4-week break and the Imola cancellation, but the races are starting to come thick and fast now. A lap of the Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve is 4.361 kilometres long. If you prefer that in miles, that's just over 2.7 and is made up of 14 corners with 70 laps scheduled for Sunday's race. The race lap record, by the way, is held by Valtteri Bottas, who posted a 1:13.078 back in 2019. There will be 3 DRS zones for the drivers to use this weekend, with the first running between turns 7 and 8. The second zone will be down that super long back straight, and the final zone runs down the start-finish straight. Of course, those DRS zones will help with overtaking. Expect to see more than a few taking place down that long straight after the hairpin. But also keep an eye on the hairpin itself, because moves do get made there. And because the DRS detection point is well before the corner, there is less risk of being immediately breezed back past by the driver you just made a move on. So it's a viable overtaking spot. And since its debut on the calendar in 1978, the circuit has hosted 41 races with 24 different drivers taking victory over the years. Gilles Villeneuve, of course, taking the first win, and Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton share the record for the most wins with 7 each. And last year, Max Verstappen became the most recent F1 winner in Canada, leading home Carlos Sainz by less than a second, and Lewis Hamilton took the final step on the podium for Mercedes. Right then, I'm afraid to say there won't be a tyre talk segue this week because about 6 people keep having a sulk at me because they don't like it and don't have the ability to either mute this part or skip through it. So, long story short, I don't want to upset those 6 people anymore. Sorry to the many, many more of you who enjoy them and accept them for the daft bit of fun they are, but you know, gotta keep those 6 happy. And it is worth pointing out while I'm at it that 6 is also the number of dry tyre compounds available across Pirelli's F1 range. That is right, of course it is tyre talk time once again. As if I'm going to pander to a handful of people. Come on, folks. The compounds available for this one are the softest in that range, and so they are the hard C3, the medium C4, and the soft C5. Now, the track is made up of a lot of slow-speed corners, meaning traction will be key this weekend, with Pirelli also saying that stability under braking and agility when changing direction are also very important. It is a semi-permanent circuit, so track evolution across the weekend is expected to be high, which could make qualifying really interesting on Saturday. Bring that on. So, last year's winning strategy was a 2-stopper made up of a medium stint to start before moving to 2 hard stints, helped in part by virtual and full safety car periods. The 1-stopper was taken on by some drivers, but 2 stops were largely the preference. Interesting to note that the soft tyre was not used during the race in 2022 as the green track conditions, which left the compound at risk of graining, did not have the range teams needed it to have to be used in a race where flexible strategy was absolutely critical. And actually, Pirelli's 2023 preview predicts that we won't see much of the soft compound competitively outside of qualifying this weekend either. The penalty for pitting is less severe than at some other circuits as the pit entry avoids the final chicane and the exit misses the first corner, so that tends to open up different strategy options for the teams. And last season, the pit lane loss time was largely between 23 and 25 seconds, with the average loss in 2022 being around 18.5 seconds. Safety cars are fairly common around Canada, with 4 of the last 5 races at the circuit featuring at least one full or virtual safety car period. And just on that note, actually, Aston Martin says that when it comes to strategy, the high-speed pit entry and short pit lane mean it's wise to stop during those conditions, the pit lane loss time under the safety car being around 9.5 seconds, just something worth bearing in mind. The weather can be unpredictable at the Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve, not just when it comes to dry and wet conditions, but also the temperature. As an example, the highest track temperature during quali last year was 17 degrees, but for the race they peaked at 40 degrees. Quite the difference. So, as always, take this forecast with a pinch of salt, not least because I'm recording this a few days before the weekend and it could easily change anyway. As it stands Wednesday afternoon, though, conditions look set to be, I'd say, a bit mixed. There is a threat of rain for both FP1 and FP2, that risk as high as 70% for the second session, with highs expected to hit 24 degrees on Friday. The risk of rain is still around on Saturday, with a current risk of between 50 and 60% for most of the afternoon. It should be cooler though, with temperatures around 19 degrees for the start of qualifying. As for Sunday though, that risk of rain does reduce, but there is still a lingering threat of a shower, with highs of 20 degrees in time for lights out. And your schedule for this one is an evening one for those of us here in Europe, which, as I often say, is fine by me. I much prefer the early or late races to the ones that happen in the middle of the afternoon. Maybe I'm a little bit weird. Well, I am a little bit weird, but that's a whole other conversation. Anyway, FP1 gets the weekend started from 6:30 p.m. BST on Friday, and FP2 later that evening starts at 10 p.m. Saturday's action kicks off with FP3 at 5:30 p.m. with qualifying underway from 9 p.m. And it is lights out for the race on Sunday at 7 p.m. and once again that is in UK time. Now, as always, there are a couple of things I want to mention ahead of the weekend before I make my usual round of predictions. First up, Toto Wolff is managing expectations following Mercedes' strong showing at the Spanish Grand Prix, a race which saw both Lewis Hamilton and George Russell make the podium. And whilst there is optimism that the new upgrade package introduced has performed well and given the team a good baseline to build from, Wolff explained that Barcelona was a track that suited their car and is expecting the team's rivals to be stronger in the coming races, adding, quote, "The gap to Red Bull is large and it will take lots of hard work to close that down. Nevertheless, we are up for the challenge." Let's see what happens in Canada. Away from the track, though, there have been some rumours that Lewis Hamilton has signed a new deal with the Silver Arrows, and an announcement is apparently expected before this weekend's event. However, as is often the case as I sit here and record this on a Wednesday afternoon, there has been no such announcement. So if there has been anything between me saying this and this video being uploaded, I will either pop something on screen here or post a link down in the comments for you to have a read of. Best thing to do, though, is keep an eye on socials for any news. And if you're interested in my view, I've been saying for a while now I fully expect him to sign, so this isn't going to come as much of a surprise to me. Maybe it will to you, but I think most people are expecting him to stay. There will be several teams who bring updates to this weekend's event, not least of all Aston Martin, who have confirmed they will have new parts on the car in Canada. Upgrades described as a step by Mike Crack last time out. Now, Fernando Alonso has been urging Aston to step up the introduction of upgrades to the 2023 car and hopes the new parts this weekend will help the team to crush Mercedes as they aim to retake P2 in that Constructors' Championship table. Dave Robson has also confirmed that Williams will have several new updates for their car this weekend. Those new parts, though, will only be run on Alex Albon's car in Canada, and the team will take their time on Friday to analyse whether or not the new package is delivering what is expected of it. And finally, some really nice news actually. An auction of the trophies that would have been given out had the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix gone ahead last month has raised just over £247,000 for the flood relief effort in the region. In addition to the trophies, Pirelli offered up the pole position tyre award and Ferrari Trento donated a bottle of the fizz sprayed on the podium, and all items were signed by all 20 drivers, and the 10 team principals also autographed the trophies. The winning Constructor Trophy picked up the highest price at over £71,000, 11,000 more than the winning Driver's Trophy. And as I sit in the garden of an evening sipping on a glass of my £3.25 bottle of Echo Falls, someone paid over £11,000 for a bottle of Podium Fizz. How the other half lives, eh? All jokes aside though, what a great idea to auction off all that stuff and for a great cause. Well done to everybody involved. Right then, time for me to make some predictions, and as always, do not take these too seriously. They are just a little bit of fun, but if you do disagree with my picks, then you can let me know yours in the comments section down below. And last time out, not bad for once. I know, I'm as surprised as you, correct on Verstappen pole win and fastest lap, even on that Hamilton podium as it turns out. Although I was actually a little bit too conservative with that pick because he was actually a place better than I predicted. It is half a point though, and it helps my awful season score look at least a tiny bit better. This week, I am fully expecting, as I'm sure many of you are, that Red Bull will go well once again. And you know, even if they did end up in the pack for whatever reason, those 3 DRS zones, especially the one on the run to the final chicane, will really help them out thanks to their powerful straight line speed and their DRS. As I said last time, it's hard to see where that Red Bull will struggle this year. It just seems to be good everywhere. This is a circuit, though, with relatively low abrasion, good grip, and traction will also be important, so that could favour Aston Martin and Ferrari, although the long straights could actually hamper Aston as well, so we'll see how it all works out. It will also be really interesting to get an answer on whether Mercedes' upturn in form in Spain was track-specific or not. Whatever happens, though, between those 3 teams, Red Bull will surely be the clear favourites. Hardly a controversial statement, I know. So I'll do some bolder predictions for another weekend. I'll go with some more realistic ones for this one. I've got to get that score up. I'm going to go with Max Verstappen for pole and the win again with teammate Sergio Perez in P2. I will say this while I'm here though, Checo really needs to be second at the very least on Sunday to get his season back on track after a disappointing couple of races, at least in terms of the number of points dropped to his teammate. With their upgrade and the other factors I've mentioned, Aston Martin could go well in Canada, and although I'd love to see Lance Stroll on the podium on home soil, I really would. If I'm picking an Aston for a podium, I've got to go with Fernando Alonso for P3 this time. As I say pretty much every time I do these though at the moment, that final step on the podium could go to any one of at least 6 drivers if Mercedes, Ferrari and Aston are all as closely matched as they have been at times this year. And hey, if the Bulls slip up this weekend, we could end up with one hell of a battle for the win. Lots of ifs and buts there though. As for who will top the midfield, so 5th best team, I'm going to say Alpine again. Yeah, these predictions are very similar to last time, but like I say, I'll keep them realistic this week. But on Alpine, they just seem to have the edge over their rivals, and assuming there are no issues for them, I fully expect them to lead the midfield battle this weekend. Plus, got to be said, Esteban Ocon is on really good form at the moment, as is Pierre Gasly to be fair, with both drivers scoring points at each of the last 3 races. To make this a little bit more interesting though, I will throw some bolder picks out there just to round off the video. Let's go with a Lance Stroll podium again. I would really love to see that. Perhaps a double Aston podium if we get some drama at the front. The track could suit Williams thanks in part to those long straights, so I'll say Alex Albon for points on Sunday. And do you know what? Let's finish with a Q3 appearance for Yuki Tsunoda on Saturday. That is it for the Canadian Grand Prix preview then. I can't wait for this race, but don't forget to let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend down in the comments section. Apologies, by the way, for the lack of content again between races. I won't bore you with the details of what's going on at the moment. Just know that I am doing what I can and I hope to get back to putting out content more frequently soon. Thank you, though, for your support and for sticking around whilst I get everything sorted. It really is appreciated. Thank you. Now, I will be back soon with some more content, including the usual race reaction live stream on Sunday night. In the meantime, though, please do leave a like as it really does help the channel out, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.